Good morning students, welcome back. Today we're going to discuss about new topic, degrees of comparison. I'm sure you must have heard about this before. I'm sure you also know little bit rules and everything. So let's dig in, let's understand again what is degrees of comparison. So when two or more nouns or pronouns. Now what do you mean by nouns, students? Name of person, thing, place, right? So that is all noun. So when nouns or pronouns, and what is pronouns? When we use a word in place of noun, right? That is pronouns. When two or more nouns or pronouns are compared, okay, when there is a comparison between two nouns or two pronouns, and there is a certain scale of degree to do that, okay? So that is called the degrees of comparison. Now what do you mean by that? Now adjectives. You know what is adjective students? Adjective obviously which describes or qualifies noun or pronoun, right? That is adjective. When you describe a quality of certain thing of noun, right? So adjectives have their own degrees of comparison. Okay. So that is known as degrees of adjectives or degrees of comparison. That is also used when you want to compare one person with the another, one thing with the another. So you understood student, when you want to compare, so we use degrees of adjectives or degrees of comparison to do that. When you want to compare two nouns or two pronouns, we do that, right? So now, as I said, there are three degrees of adjectives. Which are they? One is positive, the other one is comparative, and the third one is superlative. What do you mean by that? Positive means when there is no, when you're talking about a single person, okay? So that is simple form of adjective. For example, tall, and there is no comparison happening with the other person. You're talking about the one person. So that is called positive degree of the adjective. What is comparative? Comparative means a form of adjective when it is used when you want to compare two persons or two things. Okay, when you want to compare two things or two persons, that time you use comparative degree of adjective. So tall becomes taller in comparative. Then there is superlative, the highest form of adjective. When highest form, superlative degree we use when we want to compare more than two persons, two or more than two. Like two, we do comparative, right? When you want to compare more than two persons or things, that time we use the highest, the most degree of adjective, that is superlative degree. So tall becomes taller in comparative and tallest in superlative, the supreme. Okay, so that way. I hope this is clear students. Positive. Let's take one example to understand it better. For example, degrees of comparison. Now here you can see positive degree. Now here we are talking about this particular person. We are not comparing it with anybody. We are just saying that he is smart. Okay, so smart is the positive degree of adjective, positive degree of comparison. Okay, then here we are comparing two persons. You can see he is smarter than him. Okay, can you see that comparison happening between two persons? And here smartest of the three, he is smartest of the three, like, or then here we are having comparison between more than two persons, right? Okay, so I hope this is clear. Smart, smarter, and smartest, positive, comparative, and superlative. Now when we are using these degrees of comparison students, there are certain spelling rules that we need to know. Let's quickly look at them. Now here most words are formed adding er to comparative, as we saw just in the example as well, and est to superlative. So for example, when you are comparing not with anybody, just talking about particular person or thing, you use positive. So old, this book is old. Okay, then you come to comparative, it becomes when you are comparing two books, this book is older than that one. Okay, the other one, for example. So, and the oldest among all, superlative. So, you can see most comparative degrees are formed using ER and most superlative degrees are formed using EST. So, old becomes older and in comparative and oldest in superlative. Same way, kind, kinder, kindest, bold, bolder, boldest, warm, warmer, warmest. You can see ER and EST have highlighted, right? Let's look at the other rule. When positive degree ends, when the positive words ends in E, okay, you can see in wise the word is ending with E. So what we will do, we will not add ER and EST, we will simply add R to comparative and ST to superlative because we already have E at the end, right? So wise becomes wiser and in comparative and wisest in superlative. You add R to comparative, ST to superlative. Let's look at few more examples. Fine becomes finer and then finest. Brave, braver, bravest. Large, larger, largest. Hope this is clear, students. Let's look at the third rule. Now here, when the positive degree ends in Y, you can see in the word easy, it's ending with Y. So, there is a consonant before Y. Can you see? Before Y, there is S, which is consonant, right? You know the difference between consonant and vowel. Vowel are A, E, I, O, U and consonants are the rest of the 21 letters, right? Then Y. So what we will do, if the letter is ending, if the word is ending with Y and before that there is S, which is a consonant, what we will do, students? We will remove the word Y, the letter Y, will replace it with I, and then the simple rule of adding ER to comparative and EST to superlative. Replace Y with I if there is a consonant before Y. Okay, and then add ER to comparative and EST to superlative. So easy becomes easier and easiest in superlative. Heavy, heavier, heaviest. Happy, happier, happiest. Pretty, prettier, prettiest. Got it? Let's look at the next one. When positive words ends with a consonant, you can see in the word fat, T is consonant. The last letter is consonant. And before it, there is a vowel. That is A. Can you see? A is a vowel. T is a consonant. So, T before that, there is a vowel. So, what we will do? We will double the last letter, means TT. And then we will add ER and EST. ER to comparative, EST to superlative. So, fat becomes fatter and fattest. Big, bigger, biggest. Hot, hotter, hottest. Thin, thinner, thinnest. Okay, great. Let's look at the next one. Now here there are some of the words which are, students, bigger. Like, there are 6 letter in the words or more than 6 letter in the words. Then what we will do? We will not say interesting, for example, is the word. You cannot say interesting year or interestingest, difficultier, difficultiest. How awkward it looks, how awkward it sounds. So what we do is we add the word more before that. Before the positive word, we add more when we want to make it to comparative, and when we want to change it to superlative, we will add most, M-O-S-T word. So interesting becomes more interesting in comparative and most interesting in superlative. Same way, you can count, whenever you see, you need to count the word in the positive. Interesting, for example, INTERESTING. It's a 11 letter word, too big, right? So we have added more in comparative and most in superlative. So difficult, difficult, more difficult, most difficult. Proper, more proper, most proper. Beautiful, more beautiful, most beautiful. Okay, students, so these are your, now let's look at the last one. There are certain words which are irregularly formed, like there is no specific rule going by, spelling rule. So they are not formed using the word from the positive, like good doesn't become more good and most good, or gooder or goodest. No, that's not right. So this kind of words you have to remember, learn by heart. For example, good becomes better and best. You can see it is not forming from the positive. Much becomes more and in comparative, and most in superlative. Little, less, least. Bad, worse, worst. You need to remember them. Okay, students? So these are some of the rules that you need to remember when you are changing positive to comparative and superlative. There are 5 types in which we change the degrees, right? We'll see into the next, in our next presentations, which are those 5 types. Okay, soon we will back. Until then, have a good day. You remember all these rules. Keep practicing. Have a good day. Take care.